My man, I hope you came prepared, my boy. I came prepared, my boy. We read in the Forbes article that up to 70% of business partnerships end in failure. That got us to thinking, why does that happen? After reflecting on it, we realized that a lot of people miss one of the most critical steps when they select a business partner. And if you're going to business with somebody who's like that, they can easily just drop out and they can continue on and looking for the next best thing. Business is tough. It is tough. You better be going to battle every single day, because that's exactly what business is. It's a battle every day. You better be in business with somebody who's ready for battle and who can get up and be able to fight every day, because that's what it is. A lot of things that people want, a lot of the things that people pray for, they're not ready for. So you have to be patient. In this episode, we're going to share what that critical step is and some other things that you need to think about before going into business with anyone. Hey, took us to the third line. Yee. Let's tap into the episode. Welcome to another edition of the Expose and Expand podcast show. I'm the man with the plan, Jeremy Mathis. I'm Joshua. I'm going to give you the game, Mathis, and welcome to another episode of the Expose and Expand podcast show, where we expose you to the ideas, the strategies, the struggles, the failures, the people, and the experiences that have gotten us from zero to millions. One of the things that we constantly see in business is that people just lethargically get into business with a business partner. They haven't built the bond. They haven't built the relationship. They don't know each other's weaknesses. They don't know each other's strengths. And we see that all too often. And then after we see that, you see people have business partner issues, and it's all because they didn't do the proper due diligence, and they also didn't have somebody to expose them to certain things that they need to look for in a business partner. You guys are in for a treat today. Josh and I, we thought about this, and we wanted to help you guys understand the traits that you need to consider before you go into business with anyone. We've been in business now together as partners for almost 32 years, because we've been in business for a long time. We've seen the ups, we've seen the downs. We've been through a lot together as business partners. And today we want to expose you guys to the top traits that we believe that you need to look at when you are going into business with someone. Let's get exposed. So not only have we been in business together, but we've had other business partners that we've learned things from. But guys, before we jump into the episode, always, man, we appreciate your support. So just please do us a favor. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on any of the podcast players, hit that follow button, and please leave us a 5-star review or leave us a comment. We will greatly appreciate it. And most importantly, man, be sure to expose someone else to these episodes. But as you just mentioned, man, we've been in business for a long time, and it's been a roller coaster of a ride, but it's been a fun roller coaster because we've learned so much with each other. We've learned so much together, and we've learned what we want and what we don't want in any potential or future business partners. I'm so thankful for our journey, because when you understand to enjoy the journey and not try to reach the destination, because every time you reach a destination, if you're like us, you're trying to get to the next one. And in this journey, we've learned a lot about how to be business partners, how to deal with each other on the business level, and how to deal with other partners that we've had. So I'm excited about this episode. And guys, just so you understand what today is, just like last episode, what Josh and I did was we thought about the outcome. And the outcome is to help you understand what you need to consider before you go into business with someone. What are the traits that you should be looking at? And what we did was we had that outcome and we separated. Josh, you come up with some traits. Jeremy, you come up with your own traits. And then also things that are not traits, but good attributes that somebody would have. We also had to select 2 of those. And I don't know what Josh is. He don't know what mine is. And we're going to talk about it on today's show. So, my guy, what's the first trait that you look at or look for when you are going into business with someone? So I really thought this through. And now that we've grown and we've matured so much as business owners, one of the things that's most important to me in any potential business partner is they have to have an obsessive mentality. They have to have an obsessive mentality, because when somebody obsesses about something, that means they're willing to go all in on that. When somebody obsesses about something, that means that they're not going to be easily distracted by the shiny objects. When somebody obsesses about something, that means that you don't have to worry about are they working, are they upholding their end of the weight. They're obsessing about this one particular thing, and they're going to do everything that they're supposed to do in order to get this business or what they're responsible for to where it needs to be. My man, I hope you came prepared, my boy. I came prepared, my boy. That boy jumped off the porch early.
Hey.
Took us to the third line.
Yee.
Hey, okay. And I like that. I definitely can agree with that. Like, if I was going into business, and that's not something I even thought about. I didn't even think about that at all. That didn't even cross my radar. And for me, you're right. If I'm in business with someone, I know how tough it is. And if you're obsessed about something, you're not worried about how tough it is. You're not worried about the obstacles. You just going after it. Yeah. You going 100 miles an hour at that thing, and you're not focusing on anything else.
Facts. Because in the world we live in today, no one understands the importance of delayed gratification. Everyone wants instant success. And when you're obsessing about, if you're not obsessive about something, what happens is, in my opinion, and what we've seen and what we've experienced is 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months in, it's like, oh, it's not working. Yeah. You haven't been at it long enough. Yeah. You haven't been at it long enough for you to even know if it works or not, right? And if you're going to business with somebody who's like that, they can easily just drop out and they can continue on and looking for the next best thing.
No, you're absolutely right. We see it so often where people just jump from one thing to one thing and they're not obsessed. Yeah. And you listen to all these entrepreneurs, these very successful people that have built billion-dollar companies multiple times, and they all have a common thing that they talk about. You got to be obsessive. You got to obsess over it if you want something great to happen.
And that was one thing as I was thinking through this. I asked myself, what do all of the great business owners or entrepreneurs have in common, whether they're alive or if they've passed away? And the one common trait that they all have had is that they obsess about what it is that they're working on, right? Regardless of who the entrepreneur or the business owner is, they obsess about it.
No, that's really good. That's a really good trait, and I definitely agree that I would want to have somebody that's obsessed working alongside me, because business is tough. But going to my thing, just like in alignment with yours, just talking about how tough business is, the first trait that I would look for, and I don't know how you can find this early on in the relationship, but I would want somebody that has grit, or that has a past of showing grit. Yeah. Grit meaning they know how to persevere. They know how to keep going when the tough get tough. Because I always took for granted our business partnership. We were raised the same, so that we got the same value systems. We see life almost the same on a lot of things. And I took that for granted. Then when we got into business with Locke, our business partner, who we got into business with somebody who was like a brother to us, and we did a trucking company with him, I realized how important it was to have grit, to be able to persevere, because what he went through, a lot of people probably would quit after the first couple of months. And we talked about this in the episode when we said we lost 55,000, but he kept going, and he showed me how important that was. Business is tough. Yes. It is tough, and you better be going to battle every single day, because that's exactly what business is. It's a battle every day. You better be in business with somebody who's ready for battle and who can get up and be able to fight every day, because that's what it is.
So I guys, that is a trait that is absolutely needed, because that was going to be my second point, but I got a little backup plan just in case we had something. But I agree 100% with Germ. Like, you guys have to find somebody who has grit, somebody who has that, hey, we going to make it by any means necessary. Somebody that says, hey, I'm going to get knocked down 10 and I'm going to get up 11. You need that person. Like Germ just mentioned, that is one of the traits that has helped us get to where we are. Because guys, everything is not sunshine and rainbows when it comes to business. You're gonna have some ups, you're gonna have some downs as well, right? And depending on what level you're at, your downs may be some downs that you like, man, I can't believe I'm going through this. And you have to persevere, and you have to have grit to get through that.
So, because you think about right now, we're going through we're going through a really rough patch in business. We're just really figuring things out. We're rebuilding a real estate investment firm. And if you've ever built the company, you know what that looks like. We are building an education company. We're working to grow this podcast show. We're in growth stage. And that, if you ain't built for this, if you ain't got that grit, a lot of people would have given up. We work hard. Hard. Like, I think about it all the time. And I tell Ash, I look forward to when I can look back at these moments and realize, like, I put in the work to get to where I am. I can truly say right now, my life is a reflection of the work that I put in the past. Yeah. And because that's all the future is. It's a reflection of what you did in the past, as far as when it comes to building companies and growing as an individual.
One thing that you said, guys, I hope you didn't miss it, was Your future is just a reflection of your past. And I 100% agree with Jern when he says that decisions you make today are going to give you the lifestyle that you want tomorrow, that you may not want tomorrow. So you got to be cautious of the decisions that you make, the efforts that you put in today. Right, you got to look at your inputs today, and that's going to determine your outputs for tomorrow. So I agree 100% with you on that. So my because number 2 was grit/perseverance, but my backup to that was I want a business partner who's curious. I want somebody who's always willing to learn, somebody who's always willing to be curious and expand themselves, right? Somebody who's always looking to get exposed on how we can do things better in the business, how we can transform things, how we can disrupt the industry. So if you have somebody who's curious, right, they have that disruptive mindset where we want to disrupt this industry. We want to change how things are being done here.
Yeah. People always ask us, y'all twins, do y'all think alike? That was my second one right there. Being curious was my second trait that I had for a business partner, because like you said, when you're curious, you never want to stop learning. You never want to stop growing. You know that there's always something different, always something better, and you're pursuing that. I liken it to being obsessive when you're curious, because I think it's almost in the same line, because when you're curious, you're somewhat obsessive in seeing what's the next thing. How can I learn more? How can I do more? Yeah. So that was my second trait as well.
Nah, well look, but again, it just shows you guys, one, I guess we do have that little twin telepathy thing going on. But then 2, we've been in business now for a while, and we understand what it is that we would want in a business partner. And these are just 2, or three or 4.
We've given 3.
So
3. You said obsessive, I said grit, you said curious. I came prepared as well. Don't play with your boy. My second thing is a trait that I would want somebody to have is someone who has no ego. As I said, business is tough, and to be doing business with somebody who has an ego, who knows it all, that means that they ain't trying to learn more. That means that they got to make all of the decisions. They're the only person that's right. And you think about what it would be like to be in the business where it's only one person that can provide all the answers, that can make this ship go.
But you think about before, early on in our business career, our business relationship, ego stopped us. It slowed us down so much, because I remember early on, we would get into arguments, we would get into fights, we wouldn't move forward with something that we were planning on doing, because it was, oh, my idea's better. No, my idea's better. Oh, my idea's better. Or, no, I came up with that idea. We used to argue about who came up with the idea. And it was just so immature of us. But again, that's something that we had to learn on the journey. And thankfully for us, ego is not our amigo. Like, ego is not our thing. We don't have egos. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the growth that we've experienced to overcome that, because I look back on our journey and it's just like some of the things that we used to fight about is just like, what?
Yeah. But it's that's what I said. I love the journey more than the process, because when you're going through that journey, you're evolving and you're becoming a different person.
You love the journey more than the process.
I'm sorry.
Come on now, what that boy talking about?
I love the journey more than the destination, because in that journey, if you are really a reflective person and you look at yourself and how you're growing, I just look at who Germ has become. Yeah. Because at the beginning, all my decisions were ego driven. Now I have no ego at all. I don't care who wins. Yeah. If we're part of the organization, and things are just so different for me now.
You said you look back over your journey and you reflect a lot. So during that time of reflection, what is one thing that you've noticed about yourself that says, man, I'm proud of myself?
Oh, that's a great question. What's one thing that I notice about myself that I say I'm proud of myself of? That's a good one. I would say how patient I've become. Because I'm 32 now, and I'm still not the most patient person, but I understand that things take time. Yeah. I understand that now. At the beginning, especially because we started our entrepreneurial journey at the forefront of social media, at the forefront of people putting out only the highlight reel, and you just seeing it, and you like, dang, I want to get there. I want to go get this. I want this ASAP. Yeah. And I used to get frustrated when things didn't happen fast enough or the way that I expected. And now I'm saying, you know what? Let's create a plan. Let's work that plan. Let's put the work in, and let's see what happens. I've learned to detach myself from the outcome and just saying that I know I'm gonna work, and this work is gonna take me somewhere, and I just need to be patient. So when God is ready to bless me, I can be ready for this blessing that He has for me. So I can say that, looking back, the number one thing that I'm most proud of that I've learned in this journey, just off the cuff, is just that I've been able to be patient. But I want to shoot that right back at you.
But hold on, even before, I want to dissect some of the things that you said, because it was some gems in there, right? One, just the importance of being patient and understand delayed gratification, and understanding, guys, that great things take time. Yeah. Rome wasn't built in one day, right? These companies that we now know, the Apples, the Amazons, these are 25, 30, 40 plus year old companies. Yeah. Look, think about that. It took them years to have that success. And even if some companies did have success early on, that still doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen for you. But another thing about being patient, that a point that you made that made me think about something, was a part of you being patient is helping you, one, become the person that you need to become in order to get the thing that you want. A lot of things that people want, a lot of the things that people pray for, they're not ready for. So you have to be patient and accept who you are becoming in the process, and learn who you are becoming in the process. So when you get that reward that you want, you're prepared for it.
That's gems, because the one thing that you said, a lot of us, we think we're ready for certain things, and we're not. We're not.
I know for me, I want to make $100 million. I'm personally not ready for it, right? Everybody say, I want all this money, I want money. But for me, I'm not personally ready for $100 million right now in my life. Like, could I handle it? Yes. But from whether it's my habits on how I spend money, and guys, I don't blow money, but I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about, have I prepared myself enough from an investment standpoint? If I get that $100 million, how can I deploy that money so I don't lose it? Right? I have ideas and things that I can put together. I know I can put together a team, but for me personally, there's some more work that I need to do before I get there.
Nah, for facts. But I want to throw that back to you. If through this journey, what is one thing that you can look at yourself and be proud of?
You said patience already, because that's another thing that has gotten better. We
can come back to it.
Yeah.
We can come back to it towards the end of the episode. So now I want to transition us to, so we talked about traits. We each gave y'all 2 traits of what you can look for in a business partner. I said grit and no ego. Josh said obsessive and being curious. Now we want to talk about 2 things, or like 2 other things outside of traits, that you should look at when you're going into business with someone. So the first thing for you.
For me, somebody that can execute. I want somebody that has a track record showing that they can execute. And it doesn't have to be a track record in business of you executing. I need to see that you can execute on something that's important to you in your life, whether you're executing at being a parent, you're executing at being a spouse, you're executing at being a volunteer, you're showing up, doing the things that you say you're going to do. I want somebody who has shown time and time again that they can execute, because most people, they can come and they can talk a good game, but not a lot of people follow through is there.
So, but if I'm meeting a business partner, and if I have a business partner or somebody that I just met, and we both have an idea that we think can work together, or even if we've known each other for a long time, what questions, or how do you know that somebody has a history of executing?
So it's more so, if right now they have some form of job of responsibility, right? So if you a stay at home type of a person, they have responsibilities that they have to execute on, whether it's taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, and you want to see how are they doing that, how are they executing on that level. And a part of execution is obsessing about it, right? Or the conversations that they're starting, is it about what it is that they're doing? And then also, if they're at a job, you want to ask those questions. Hey, what projects have you completed? What were the outcome of those projects? How did you come up with the idea? Or was the idea given to you? Right. So those are just a few things that I'll ask.
So you said a couple things in there, but the biggest thing that I got was everything is just a matter of perspective. Because you said, like, if somebody's a stay-at-home mom, if they are taking care of the house, they're executing on that. And some people would think that, oh, if I'm a stay-at-home mom, I add no value. All I do is this and this and this. I always tell people everything is about perspective and how you look at things. Because regardless, if you're doing something productive, and you're executing on it, you're moving in the right direction for what you want in your life. Obviously, everybody has different dreams, goals, and visions for what they want in their life. But regardless of what you're doing, if you're doing something productive and you're executing on that, you can use that, and that can translate into business and help you execute the way that you need to.
Fact. So one point you made was perspective. And this is one of the things that I have, you know what, to answer your question, I think I figured it out. One thing that I've learned about myself and what I'm most proud of is understanding how to live in perspective, not living in perception. So many people live in perception, and perception is just how I think of things, how I view things, how I want things. When you live in perspective, you're living in, and you're looking at the world from other people's point of view. Right? You're not being so judgmental. You're not being one-minded. If me and Jeremy's having a conversation and he's telling me something, it may not be what I agree with, but if I'm living in perspective, I'm understanding where Jeremy's coming from. And again, not saying I have to completely agree with him, but also being open-minded to receive what it is that he's giving me.
Mr. Game is bringing it today.
You feel me? I came.
Look at that boy. He is bringing it today.
But I think that's one thing that a lot of people need to learn. Because I heard this a while ago, and I'm just like, yo, that is it. I knew I was living that way, but I didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't know how to title it. And then once I heard the guy say it, I'm just like, yo, that's it. Because now when I'm talking to people, and again, guys, I'm not perfect by no means, but I also understand the importance of looking at things from perspective, and then also being a leader in every aspect of my life, at home, in business, at my church, in my community. I'm a leader in all these places. And when you're leading people, you're managing people. When you're managing people, they have their own ways of thinking of things. They have their own ways of looking at things. So when I'm talking with them and I'm doing things with them, I need to look at it from perspective, not perception.
That's good. I'm really enjoying this episode as we just really peeling back the layers and helping people understand how deep the Master Twins can get. Yeah. And that's one thing that I enjoy about this podcast show is people just really starting to understand and just get some perspective as to who we are. We're more than just real estate investors.
Yeah. So for you, what's one trait that you would want?
What's one thing outside of a trait that I would want for a business partner? So at the beginning, we talked about 4 traits. Now we're just talking about things that we would want in a business partner. I would want a business partner that's resourceful. They have to be able to, and when you're resourceful, you have a no excuse mentality. If you think about so many businesses that got started just off the cuff, the person they just had an idea and they didn't know how to go out and make it happen, but they were resourceful. It goes back to that trait of being obsessive. When you're obsessive, you become resourceful. You can go and figure out how to create this cup and wherever it's manufactured, and you can say you now have an insulated cup when you never manufacture anything in your life. So when you are resourceful, you can just get so many things done. And I know we got to where we are and making millions in everything that we do because we're resourceful. Yeah. That's one of our top things. And I realized, we are very resourceful because people always say, y'all boys smart. Y'all boys know. They don't know that Joshua was in his senior year in high school taking pre-algebra. Yeah. They don't know that when they say smart. So it goes back to what you said about perspective, but people just need to understand that. Damn, I lost my train of thought.
Nah, but that's really good. And understanding the importance of having somebody on your team that is resourceful, that can go out and get things done. That's not saying, I don't know how to do this. When you're resourceful, you're gonna figure it out. Figuring it out meaning I'm gonna go ask the right people. So that's really good. But how can you see if somebody's resourceful or not?
It goes back to just figuring out how you can ask them situational questions about their past. Think about what you guys will be going into business together, like whatever y'all business is. And then if y'all business is we're going to start manufacturing carpets, That means somebody needs to be able to show that they know how to find vendors, they know how to find people, they know how to network, they know how to build relationships. So asking situational questions about how in your past have you built relationships with vendors? How have you been able to find vendors, or how have you been able to find certain things that you have going on? So just asking those situational questions.
Another thing that just came to mind for me is asking if you want to find out how they're resourceful, is asking the questions like, hey, what's the 2 biggest problems you've ever had in your life, and how did you deal with them, or how did you overcome those problems, and just seeing what did they do, right? So that's a good one. I like that. I got 2 more, so we got to kind of speed it up. Another thing that I look at in a business partner outside of what we've already talked about is their family dynamic. What does their family look like at home? And the reason I say that is because, one, we've experienced that together as partners, and we've seen how family dynamic has broken up other business relationships with people. So when I say family dynamic, it's just like, okay, are they happy at home? Because if they're not happy at home, it's hard to come to work and be able to execute. But then even if they are happy at home, are they allowed to be themselves within their workspace or within their home space? Yeah. Because like that, but for me, that's a big one, that family dynamic.
I'm over here smiling because I'm just realizing Mr. Game is bringing it today. That boy Game, that's real game right there. And it just, like you said, that's just all from our perspective and our experience, because we was partners. We was partners, and we saw that family dynamic, how it negatively affected the business.
So for you guys that don't know, I was married before, and I got married before Germ. So at this time, when we early on in our business career, I was married with 2 kids. Germ at the time wasn't married, single, and we was living 2 different lifestyles, right? I'm at home working on my family, trying to be a better family man. He's single, so he didn't understand the things that I was going through, and I didn't understand what he was going through all his life, and that created some friction, that created some tension for us. Because to give you guys one example, I have a family. I have to provide for my family. Germ didn't have a family. It was just Germ. So what we was making was enough. Germ, single man. Of course, that was enough money. For me, I got to take care of myself and the family. What we was making at the time wasn't enough. So that created some friction.
Yeah, because Josh wanted to get paid more, and I told him no, but I ain't had no perspective on it. So no, that was really, really good. My second thing that I would look at is when deciding on a business partner outside of traits is, do they know how to control their emotions? Yeah. Business is a true roller coaster. Yeah. It is a true roller coaster, and some days you up, some days you down. And do you know how to control your emotions? Do you know how to deal with the hiccups that are going to come? Because they will come. Nothing is perfect. Again, I've said it a couple times. This road in business is tough. I don't want to make it tougher by being in business with somebody who is all over the place emotionally, and when things go bad, they become a wreck. Because how many stories have we heard where people said, man, this one thing happened where this person got a divorce and they fell off a cliff, messed up the business. Or this one thing happened in their life and they messed up the business because they didn't know how to they didn't have the emotional intelligence to deal with multiple things in their life. So somebody who knows how to deal with their emotions.
Nah, that's really good. That is really good. Last thing I want to say is, another thing I want to look for is their money management skills. Guys, when we're running a business and as we grow that business, more money comes into the business. When we start seeing 7, 8, 9 figures plus in the bank account, can they manage money, right? And I'm not just talking about, putting together budgets, but it's just, what are their spending habits? Because one of the issues that we broke out of, thank God, was we had rich man syndrome. As we started making more money, we just started buying more things. We just started adding more subscriptions, right? I remember when we did a detox of our finances, within 30 days, Jern was able to remove about $5,000 in things that we wasn't using within the business. So I want somebody who has good money management skills, knowing how to manage money, knowing how to control themselves and their spending habits.
This has been one of the great episodes that we've done. I think all of them have been great, but this one is really speaking to an issue that permeates society, because so many people have business partner issues. And after listening to this, I think we've helped people start to understand, before I go into business with somebody, what are the traits that I want to see? So now you guys have been exposed to, you need to identify traits. Write down your traits. when you're thinking about business partner? What are traits that I want somebody? And then when you write down your trait, write down things that are not traits, but things that are plus. Are they resourceful? Do they know how to manage money? Do they know how to control their emotions? Write down all of these things so that when you're having this conversation, you know how to tailor your questions to the person, so you can see if they have these traits, to see if if your values align.
Yeah. So the last point that I want to make too is, guys, when you're looking for a business partner, my advice is try to find somebody who's strong in areas you're weak in. Try to find somebody who is strong in areas that you're weak in, because they can complement you, right? And then you guys won't be butting heads on things. And then if they're strong in areas you're weak in, you guys can divide and conquer. You can focus on the things you're strong at. They can focus on the things that they're strong at. And then you guys can create something amazing.
That's talking from experience, because Josh and I are alike, and we realized recently that, not recently, but we realized that we're alike, and it hurts us more than it helps us. But I will say this: it's even. Everything has its pros and its cons. So, guys, and understand that what we gave you today is just an idea. We've exposed you to
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, the tip of the iceberg. Very tip. Like I said, tip. So don't think that this is the end all be all. But again, we want to expose you guys to things that we've had to learn to get from zero to millions. And we've been in multiple business partnerships. We obviously have business. Me and him, me and Josh are business partners. And these are things that we've never really thought about. We want you guys to think about. That's why we expose it to you. Any parting words? As always, we have our gentleman's agreements. And it's a gentleman's agreement because we cannot see you do it. We just know that you will, because you're getting so much value. So if you watch it on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Help your boys out. Help us continue to grow. If you're listening on the podcast players, hit that follow button. Leave us a 5-star review. Share this episode with somebody, because at some point, we all may have a business partner. Expose and expand. Peace.
Expose and expand. Peace.